Trevor St. Lucia,
The alpha of radio.
Pick up your phone for the Love Zone on Rev of St. Lucia. We're here to entertain ya. 97.1 FM. That's our frequency. Heard on Tuesdays with Andre Shamar and Nikki. Hot topics for the lovers. It's a show like no other. The Love Zone from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. The Love Zone. The Love Zone. The Love Zone.
Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, good night to our listeners and to our viewers in St. Lucia and across the globe. Welcome to another Love Zone. Today, Tuesday, the 8th of July. My name is Andre Paul, the co-host of the show. To my immediate left, none other than the lovely Nikki. Nikki, good morning.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night to all our listeners. Good morning to you, Andre and Shamak. I trust that all is well with everybody and that you all had a wonderful weekend and you're having a great week thus far. Wishing everybody eternal blessings and guidance. It's wonderful being back here yet again. Time flies, flies, flies. It seems like we were here yesterday and we're back again today. I just have a couple shout outs. I want to say hello to Madiane and Isabella, who are regular listeners, two very precious young ladies. They have indicated how much they enjoy our show. You'll be amazed at how many young people listen to the show. And
I'm happy to hear that.
Teens and stuff like that. I think they're being very well educated. So, hi, Madiane
Wow,
and
you
Isabella.
said teens?
Yes.
My.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. Madiane and Isabella, I just want you to know how happy I am to know that you guys are actually listening to us.
How do you spell the first name?
Madyan, I think, yes.
Marianne. Marianne.
Yes.
Okay.
And Isabella. Yes. So, happy Tuesday to you guys. And I want to say hello to Julia, to Morgan, Manuel and his wife. I want to say hello to Hyacinth, Honorata, Antonius. I want to say hello to my sister over in Canada, Adina. She's celebrating her birthday on the 12th of this month.
Oh, happy birthday
Saturday.
in advance.
Yes.
And what's her name again?
Edina.
Edina.
Yes, she's actually going to be here, sometime. So we're looking forward to have a blast.
All right.
Yes, so,
Okay.
yes,
That's it?
that's it.
Okay, let's say good morning to co-host number 2, none other than the handsome Shamak. Shamak, good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Welcome, Andre. Welcome, Nikki.
Hi.
Good morning, St. Lucia.
Morning.
Thank you for listening.
Shamak, I know you have another show, television show. Tell us a little about that.
The television show is just, it's called The Shamak Show. Basically, I try to touch on everything apart from religion and politics. I think these two things are very ticklish, and the inspiration from the show came, I think, as a St. Lucian, every time you go on every talk show in St. Lucia, or every time you go on Facebook and stuff, everything is so political, and I think there's more stories to be heard. There's young people that have businesses that's thriving, they want to give their story, so we highlight different things. We have had people from the lady from the Cancer Society, Father Albert, talk about Easter. I try to touch everything. To me, everything is the story. And then when you walk the streets, the feedbacks you get, and from the people that look at the show, I'm very much impressed.
So when you had Father Albert...
it was to talk about Easter. I wanted some more information on how Easter started and stuff. So it was kind of very informative. So that did well. And then we had a lady from the Cancer Society. So anything that popped in my mind, I do some research in it, and I try to get a guest that would match the topic.
So was that your idea? Because you said you call it the Shamak. It's your show, right?
Yeah, my show, yeah. The set is my design, the set myself and stuff. Because when we started with Beverly, but sometimes we stopped for a while, and then I decided, hey, in the country, everybody knows you. And then, I mean, like,
Okay.
to have TV power is a lot. So, I mean, like, sometimes from the starting you have to be very patient because, I mean, like, the sponsorship had to come. So now it's there and you're making it happen. It's a lot because every time you have to make sure you have a new outfit and new stuff. And it's interesting. We interviewed all the contestants for the National Carnival Queen Show, the Super Queen Show. We try to make it interesting and different. I like to say we when I'm talking about myself because me, myself, and I.
So, what day do you have that show?
We record on a Wednesday at 2:30, and then the show plays on a Friday, and there is at 9, and there's a rebroadcast at 9, and you catch it on Facebook, YouTube, all the platforms.
It's 9 p.m.
9 p.m. Yeah. yeah.
Okay. And which station is that?
Choice TV.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Alrighty. And we don't have a problem with you promoting that show actually right here. So that's not a problem.
Oh, no, the show itself sell itself. Nikki was a guest on one of my show and one of the topic. Yeah, Nikki. So we look at everything. I mean, when Nikki, I think, was interested.
Nikki actually paired as well?
Yeah. Because for me, being around her, I wanted to know what was the feeling like growing up as a mentally impaired individual. And then, I mean, like, speaking to her, that was like something different because you just see the person and you figure that person is blind and then you just brush them aside.
I think you meant to say visually impaired.
Visually impaired, sorry. Yes.
That's okay. Oh my goodness.
And then just connecting with her at that level was different. It's like, okay, wow. Because sometimes every time you you interview somebody, you learn so much and you think you know about it. And then I just think there's so many stories and that can inspire somebody else with what's happening in the country now. I mean, every time they're killing somebody. So if you can do something positive to do a change in the community.
Well, Shamak boy, bravo to you. You've come a
yep.
really long way.
I tell you.
Bravo.
I tell
Bravo.
you. That's
okay, good job.
evolution. Yeah.
I'm sure your family feel proud of you. Alrighty, so let's get into today's topic, and I'd like Nikki to do the announcing and to explain how we got to today's topic. It's kind of a follow-up to last week's program when we were talking about the different phases of relationships, and during the conversation, I think Nikki, and it's not the first time she said it many, many times, and I think Nikki's speaking from experience, Nikki's speaking from research, okay, and from the number of shows that we have covered dealing with similar issues. And this thing about having sex too early in a relationship keeps coming up all the time because it seems that's a mistake that we are making repeatedly, right? But the thing is, not having sex with somebody that you're attracted to, it is very, very, very difficult, very challenging, if not impossible to resist.
I would.
So
you'd say attracted to, I think, not having sex with somebody you're in love with, because maybe it's attracted, they're attracted, that's why they do it, but they may be not in love with the person, they just do it to feel that desire, maybe.
But you know, they have people who just do it. They don't care whether they're attracted,
They
not
just
attracted.
go by
they
what
just
they
do it.
Well, I
feel,
never
just the
experienced that
chemicals.
one.
You never
It's,
said that.
it's a chemical reaction, and then after that, then what? Anyways.
Exactly. Yes. Especially where males are concerned.
I still think it's an attraction, because even still, when you go in a block, if you go in and pick a prostitute, you might pick the most attractive one or the prettiest one. The one that
Pheromones.
smell,
It has to do with pheromones, and you know, they give off certain scents that actually appeal to the male, and so let me tell you, this thing is complex. But the topic for today,
and not just the smells. You talk
The
about
looks.
the way they dress as well.
yeah, the look.
Yeah.
You know, they're very appealing, and so and they
Extremely so.
know that they know they are, and so they flaunt it because they know what the men are looking for. So it's not a surface kind of thing. It goes deep.
Yeah.
You know.
And
but,
and the same thing applies in a relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, women are women. Okay, now I'm on the women's case because I'm a male.
Yeah.
So you, Nikki, you'll have to defend them when they make certain statements.
I'll try.
But women are women.
Yeah.
It's not just a question of those sorry, all due respects, a prostitute who understands what a man wants and what he likes to see and this sort of thing. Women are women, and women know men very, very well. It's no secret that we are attracted or turned on by touch, and also by what we see.
Yeah.
That's just the way we are. Now we understand that very well. Women understand it, and
We use
sometimes
that
women
sometimes.
use that against men
Yeah,
to
definitely.
get us to do things sometimes we don't want to do. And when we find ourselves in that situation, it is, I'll repeat this, it is almost impossible to get out. Almost impossible.
That's where control comes in.
Right.
That's the topic for today. How do we control ourselves?
Yes, when we're tempted and so on,
Tempted, and
especially
when we're,
in a relationship.
in a relationship.
Yeah. I want to stress, especially when we're in a relationship,
When you
because we
claim
could be.
to be in a relationship, because
Yeah,
gosh,
yes, because
It's
we could be
crazy.
outside of a relationship and still be tempted.
very much so.
Okay?
But
Right. So, Nikki, take it away.
all right, so I just want to emphasize a point. There's nothing wrong in being tempted. Absolutely nothing wrong in being tempted. I think that being tempted yet being able to control that temptation is power. All right, that is very powerful. It takes elevation, all right, to get to that level.
Let me apologize to our viewers and listeners. And that construction is still going on in the office next to us. The guys told me it's going to be ending soon. Yeah, go ahead, Nikki. Sorry.
I was feeling a vibrational thing under my feet, and I'm like, Lord. And I was feeling it traveling up, and I'm like, no, honestly. And anyway, I won't say any more on that. But
I think so.
yes, but on a serious level, like what I was saying is, we have to understand that temptation is not wrong, no, but you have to learn to at least control it, and that is power. To get there, I believe that you have to become elevated spiritually. All right? And to do that, you need to meditate. You need to kind of come out from, like out there and go within. And you have to embrace you for who you are with everything. Also,
Just before you move on, when we're talking about elevating yourself spiritually, can you go a little deeper into what you're talking about? What do you meditate on? What do you think about while you're meditating, so that you can become, according to you, spiritually elevated?
well, that depends on your level. I personally think that you need to recognize that we're not just physical. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. And so while the physical experience is very important, never neglect the spiritual aspect. So you have to be able to identify with that spiritual side. I may not be able to tell you word for word how to do that, but meditating does help, and you can ask for guidance. Okay, I have learned
As friends, or who are you talking about? We say
guidance. Ask for guidance.
Who are you asking?
The source.
Oh, okay.
The source of
All right.
creation, right? Source, right? So, because a lot of the times we look for answers outside, I think we need to go within. You ask, all right? And you have to do it like sacredly. You have to really and truly kind of isolate from, like the outside noise and all of that. I know it's not always easy because, we are so caught up, like in technology and in work and in family matters.
Yes,
and,
that we pay very little attention.
Very much so.
To the
Yes,
spiritual element of our
yes.
life.
But
yes.
temptations will always be there. You cannot run away from it. Okay, it is not the temptation so much, it is how you deal with it.
And let me just make a quick point on the temptation issue. I think temptation is a good thing.
Same here.
Let me just explain what I mean. It's only when you're tempted that you begin to realize what is inside of you.
What you're made of.
What you're made of.
Yes.
Exactly. Because say you will look at somebody else who maybe accepted a bribe, and you say, me? Man, I'll never do that, man. Until somebody offers you
a bribe.
And not just any bribe, $500,000 US
Exactly.
as a bribe.
Yeah.
Now, if you are, as you said there, elevated spiritually, you can fight this off.
You can.
But the temptation now, if you give into it, it shows exactly where you are.
Exactly.
It tells you something about yourself.
Yes, and that's the thing.
So temptation is not really a bad thing per se.
It shows you how weak or how strong you are. And I think we need to learn from, like our experiences. So when you go through something, all right, based on how you reacted, that tells you a lot, about yourself. It tells you a lot about yourself. But I just want to say, don't feel ashamed when you are tempted. No. You have to learn to control it. There's nothing wrong with being tempted.
So
nothing.
let's look at the scenario, all right, for both you and Shamak. You're in a relationship and you have listened to Love Zone or be part of the panel as we are here, and you are confronted with a situation where you have either a man or a woman tempting you. You know, they're already ready for sexual activity. But you are educated, or you're knowledgeable from listening to Love Zone, for example, from reading, whatever, you're aware of it, and you say to yourself, I know I shouldn't do that. Do you think, right, unless you, as you said, you're spiritually elevated, Shamak and Nikki, do you think it is possible to control yourself even to the point of saying, you know something, to that person, if you do not stop what you're doing, I will have to end this? To be strong enough to say that?
I believe so. I really believe so. And also, let me tell you, I was going through my mind, and I think that what we need to do is be honest with ourselves, because you hear a lot of people say they have such a good relationship, okay? But yet, they want to jeopardize that, okay? They'll tell you there's this woman or there's this man, you know, that I'm so, you know, like I like and whatever, despite the fact that they claim to have a good relationship. So why would you want to jeopardize what you have? Okay? Why would you want to do that, knowing the consequences of your actions if you were to follow through? So we need to know what we have. We need to know who we are with and what it is that person means to us and what we stand to lose. A lot of the times we don't sit down and analyze things. You have to talk to yourself. Take a mirror and talk to yourself and get some feedback. And if you do that constantly, it'll put you in a position where, you know, like you realize, okay, so I'm being analytical. I know what I have. I'm not willing to jeopardize that. Yes, the person may look good. Yes, I like being around them, but that doesn't mean that I actually have to sleep with them. That kind of thing. Like we just act. We just act a lot of the times because we feel a particular way.
Exactly. So, Shamak, assuming you feel a particular way, right? You love to see this person, you find him handsome, you find him winsome, and he wants to give himself to you because he's ready. He's ready to go. In fact, he's telling you, a long time I see you, long time I like you.
If it's in a relationship, I don't think, for me, I wouldn't use the word tempted if in a relationship, because in a relationship, I don't think there's nothing as tempted because we're already in the relationship. But if it's out of the relationship, as you said, sometimes when you come across situations like that, especially me, people message you on social media, people message you all over. But for me, as my brand, it's situations that can help me learn how to control myself, because not everything you see that green. I always think somebody trying to blackmail me, so most times I try to turn down people, because if I don't know you personally or I don't know of you, I might not entertain, because it helps me to control myself. I mean, however, the thought as a human being, I'm not one of the persons who'd lie. The thought comes to mind, but I might not act on it, because I think not everybody that like you can sleep with them, because then eventually I become like a lab rat. So you have to, for me.
Now,
but let me ask you something. At what point do you determine that you are in a relationship? How do you determine that? Because to me, once you start talking to somebody, you all are going out together, right? Pairing off. It's obvious that there's something brewing there already. So at what point for you do you decide it's a relationship?
I think when we start sharing personal information and stuff, because if you're single, right, there's a situation, okay, like when you're single, you're speaking to more than one person. You're not in a relationship, you're just talking to people. I mean, basically, you're just there. But if you decide out of all of these persons you're speaking to, you settle for one person, and then you're spending more time with that person. To me,
right.
you invite that person to your space, you're doing more intimate stuff in terms of on a different level, you're getting close and stuff like that. Or we decide, because for me, a relationship is a conversation. Because some people say, I'm in a relationship with Tom, and Tom not in a relationship with me, because we never discussed that. You cannot just say you're in a relationship and you have not discussed it. So if we discuss it and we agree we're going to try something.
Right. So let's talk about the period before you have that conversation. That's what I'm talking about there. The person, you have not had that conversation with that person as yet. There's nothing official going on. But that person now is already pushing you and encouraging you to have sex with him. What do you do at that point?
I've gone through that before, and then you went with it. and then it did not work out because at that point the person just wanted to sleep with you and they were pretending that they want a relationship. So most times I always believe somebody want a, if it's a one night stand you tell a person from the starting.
out
If it's a
clear.
no strings attached, you tell a person what you want, because some people pretend they use the relationship context just to sleep with you, and that's not what they want. They just wanted to sleep with you, and then afterwards they ghost you. People do that. I've already experienced that. So all the time it's like, huh? What just happened? So at that time you're feeling old, you're feeling cheap because you did that thinking in the name of a relationship. You went against what you believe and sleeping with that. I never think there's something as too fast or too, there's a special time, but at that point you did that and then it backfired basically, and then there was no relationship because the person just pretended that they was into you,
So-
but they just pretended that they was into you just to sleep with you, if you understand.
Exactly. So you don't know whether the person is into you or not at that time. So because you're not sure, when I say you, I'm talking about all of us. When we are not sure, we are supposed to exercise the self-control because we're not sure. Okay? We don't even know the person. And this is what I'm talking about now. At that point there, the person wants you, but you know you're not sure as yet. How are we supposed to control that urge, especially when we're attracted to the individual?
I think
But-
for me, I think it's a gamble because they have sometimes. I don't think there's nothing as sure because for me a relationship unfolds every day. Because you have sometimes you're sure and then 6 months later the person travel and they just block you and they just disappear. So for me, I run any relationship as a gamble because there's no promise for tomorrow when you're in a relationship. There's no people saying, hey, my husband will never do that, my boyfriend. Never do that is when you get to that bridge, you would know. So that's why I always tell people, my friends, don't never laugh at somebody else's situation because people have all the dark secrets and stuff like that. And for me, I just go with the flow. So sometimes you get a chance. But at the point there, when that person forced me, I was like, I swear, just in my mind, I say that. But I say, you know what? As you said, you like the person, the vibe looking good. You say, oh, let's go with the flow. But then afterwards, you're feeling like you should have waited and stuff like that. But then it did not work out. So sometimes you don't know it's a gamble because you don't know. There are people that do it 6 months after and it's still the workout. So it's a chance you're taking because sometimes the chemistry between you and the person die out along the way and sometimes it stays.
Nikki?
You have to know what it is you want. And from personal experience, I can safely say rushing into sex does not work. And this is my experience.
So
but
Shamak is asking a very good question. At what point is the rushing? At what point? Because he's right. He says you could do it in one day or 6 months after, and sometimes you still have problems.
I agree. But then when you know what you want, okay, you're not going to rush.
Meaning what, that you want to wait
Exactly.
until you feel that you're ready.
You feel ready. Now, if the person, okay, ghosts you after, like, let's say 6 months or a year of dating them, okay, that's on them, not on you, because you did what you wanted to do. You waited.
What
okay?
if they didn't ghost you? They're
No,
still,
well,
they're there.
fine, they're there.
They're there.
Yes, they're there.
And they're not, as Shamak was saying a while ago, they could just be bluffing. It's just,
But
they want
yes,
you.
but listen.
Sometimes mentally the person going for something, just that they're not sharing it with you. That's why they need more time. You understand? Now, if you're not sharing it with me, I would feel like you're wasting my time.
But
If I am if I am that male trying to sleep with you or that woman trying to sleep, I would feel like you're wasting my time. But if there's something you're just telling me, some people say, let's take 2 years. 2 years for what? You're not no virgin. You have to wait
but
for 2 years to
listen,
sleep with you.
But
So
if you're not into that, without cutting you short, then you can ditch. You can tell the person, listen, no, 2 years is too much. But, because you know what you want. If you don't want to wait for 2 years, then you need to tell the person, listen, maybe you're not the one for me. You understand? Now, the person who wants...
Yeah, go ahead.
The person who wants to wait for 2 years, they have their reasons, and that's where open communication comes in. If you feel that waiting for 2 years will get you to know the person well enough, then fine. And you could never fully know somebody, but I'm saying that we all do things for different reasons, right? So at the end of the day, it's about just coming out and saying exactly what it is you want. Because there was this guy, he said to me, Nikki, listen, I don't like you, but I just want to sleep with you. He said that to me. And you know what? His boldness, his openness, I said, wow. I wish all the guys would be like that. You know, like just say what's on your mind. I didn't sleep with him.
Well, most of us will not say that because we feel or we know that if we say that to you, you will not want to be with us.
So what?
Yeah.
But I
So-
could be your friend. I don't
As a
have
matter
to
of
sleep
fact,
with you.
As a matter of fact, they may even wonder how, in your eyes, you will perceive them. Right?
Well,
if they come out like that and make a
yes,
statement like that.
yes.
Yeah, all I want to sleep with you, this kind of thing.
Listen, I'm telling you, I read a post and it said, if you want time, state that. If you want sex, state that. If you want a friend, state that. If you want whatever, state it. But don't bluff people. Don't pretend. And I so agree.
But I agree with you.
You understand? But you know what? Out of shame and out of, you know, whatever, people hold back on exactly how they feel because they're afraid of how people will perceive them. But you know what? I admire people who are very honest.
I think
You know?
most times in a relationship, people cannot even deal with the truth. You tell them how you feel, and they take it and they blow it into something else. I'm like, are you serious? But this is how I feel. Why would you even? So most times in most relationships, we lie to people. People like when you lie to them. Oh, tell me that you're as soon as you say the truth, they blow it up and they turn it. So that means you like the lies, and then they're so comfortable with the lies, they slip in. You're like,
Somebody said honesty is not always the best policy, and I tend to agree. But
totally.
back to the beginning stage, you know, of a relationship. I just want to say, all right, that when you meet somebody, all right, if you pay close attention, you will know how you feel about that person. Either they repel you or they pull you to them, all right? Now, sometimes we turn a blind eye and a deaf ear. The red flags are there. Sometimes something about that person you just don't like. But then there are other aspects of them that you like, and so you go with that. But the thing that you don't like is big, all right? But then you figure, well, there are 5 things that I like about him or her, so it may overshadow or whatever. But no,
Exactly.
that
exactly.
we need to be very aware of. Now, when you meet somebody and you get this feeling, okay, of butterflies and whatever, it happens, okay, that's chemistry, that is chemical reactions. Sometimes you meet somebody and you don't know the person, they don't know you, but then there's that vibe between y'all. Who is to say that that will keep you all together for a long time, right? People, a lot of us go on that and we think it's something significant and we run with that. And then before you know it, we sleep together. But then we cannot even have a good conversation. You understand? We can't even converse because the chemicals dominated, right? Now, for some people, that's what they like. They like the thrill. And after it's dead, they can just move on to somebody else. But I learned something, and it said that the more people you sleep with, the less of these chemicals are produced. And so you reach to a level where that's not even so much a thing anymore. All right? And that's kind of scary. But I have heard people say that the person they married, okay, was not even somebody that they liked at the beginning of things, but then they grew into each other. And I think that's remarkable.
I also
But
heard
it
I also
doesn't-
heard the opposite of that as
Yes.
well. Opposite meaning that I didn't really like him, but he was very nice to me.
Yes.
So I married him.
Yes.
And they ended up getting divorced
You
because
see?
she wasn't into him.
You see, now
But because he
that's-
was treating her well, she
that-
figured, why not?
No, you see, that's another thing. It takes much more than that to keep 2 people together. But these are the things we need to learn. All right? Even if the person is nice to you, how do you genuinely feel about him? Yeah, he's nice to you, but you don't even like him in a way where, you know, so it kind of contradicts.
You're not even attracted to the individual.
And there
And-
must be something. to
And that's what
keep
I'm
you
talking
all-
about.
Yeah.
When you are attracted to this person, it's not somebody, because sometimes it's easy for us, if we're not attracted to the person, to just slough that off,
Yeah.
right? No big deal. But you're attracted to this person. There's something about the person. Maybe you've always, like to see that person. You're finally in the company. You've seen this, and they want you. I'm talking about male, female, and especially where the ladies are concerned. You want this person. You see the problem. I think I mentioned last week that this guy was going with this lady, right? They went out. I think he said about 2 or 3 times, and she never thanked him.
Yep.
But he told me, man, she is beautiful.
You see?
She's beautiful.
So, which do you prefer? A beautiful woman with no manners or a not so beautiful one with manners? So it's what you want. You
So
understand?
at that point where she's beautiful, and you already, from what you can tell,
Yep.
she is selfish.
Mhm.
Okay? She doesn't have manners. But she's tempting you now. She's tempting you to go to sleep with her.
Well, that is where you come in. You have to know what it is you want as a man. If you just want a fling or a sexual encounter with a beautiful woman, then whatever. But then if you want something more fundamental, something more meaningful, then you better watch out. And don't
How-
think that that person will change, you know.
So, let me
when
ask-
you when you
So let me ask both of you, all right? I just painted a scenario. If somebody, they're already a turn off, but they're beautiful, okay, or handsome, whatever the case may be. How do you muster the strength, the
you have
strength,
it, you know, you have
the
it.
courage to walk away?
You have it. All you
from
have to do
something that you already in your mind you wanted already.
is
You already
how
have,
you perceive it, you
right?
know.
So now, ask both of you, how do you walk away from that sort of situation?
But I
Nothing
just-
hasn't happened yet. There's no sex yet, but she wants you, or he wants you. But you already see where that's going already. You already see the problems, according to you a while ago, the
Yeah.
consequences.
Yes.
All right?
Yeah.
How do you control
For
yourself?
me, it's easy because you've done that. It's just that you just don't
You don't go through the whole
entertain the
thing.
person as much as before, and it just, for me,
It'll
just
fade out.
physically drift away.
So
yeah.
you're saying you have the strength to just drift away.
Yes,
to-
but I'm not bedridden. I have this. I running. I know.
And not just that, like you
Yeah, but you
limit
cannot rob
communication.
yourself of happiness.
Exactly.
A lot of people do that.
You
That's
limit
one thing.
yourself.
Well, exactly.
You
You
cannot rob
limit-
yourself of happiness. And even though the person beautiful and stuff like that, and you see, and then I realize I still want to go. I might sleep with you, but I don't mean I don't have to stay. Just so that I wanted to experience after I eat some of
But
my
why
money
even
already.
do that?
You understand? No,
Why
but
even-
I'm telling you that's
no.
the truth. There's
I
not a Y or Z.
understand.
That's the truth. The man seen I bring you on dates, seen him all kind of thing, and you just go in scotch free. No, my God, I have to
Listen
taste.
to me. It's easier
But there are
to
consequences,
break
I will
off.
get to that in a while. Go ahead, Nikki.
It's easier to break off something when you didn't sleep with somebody than when you
True.
slept with them, you know.
True.
So that is
That's true.
Yes.
What is your slip not Nikki
my
slip not
goodness.
tying people together? Don't have that. That's not
Shamak,
holding no
Shamak.
sleep children.
Yeah.
That's not holding nobody together.
Listen,
But it's more
can
complicated.
complicate
It's more- yeah,
things,
it's more
Shamak.
complicated,
You have to
Shamak.
look at
If
it
there's
for
a-
what
But
it is,
you
you know.
all have to realize you're speaking for yourself. Everybody's on the show. You have to speak for everybody. Everybody's wired differently. Some
Yes.
people not attracted, not holding these kind of feelings, Andre.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
some people sleeping with you now, and then they tell you that was a breakup sex, and they walk out, and
Yes.
you never see them again.
Yes, I agree. But
It
what-
cannot be
hear
complicated
you,
But
for
Shamak.
everybody.
No, you misunderstand what we're saying. I'm saying that, for example, there's a pregnancy, right? Even if you want to leave, it's more complicated.
What pregnancy? I always
Hold
without
on.
my father come
Hold
and tell me
on.
I'm pregnant. That's
Hold
holding
on.
people.
Hold
Hour.
on. No, don't misunderstand me. I'm saying there's a pregnancy. Yes, it's true. You could walk away and turn your back completely on your child.
Uh-huh.
But if you are a responsible person, you have to say, okay, well, I have to now deal with that situation. That's what makes it more complicated.
and
That's what
not
you're
that,
saying.
listen,
It just
watch.
complicates it for you. Well,
What
if there's no
if-
pregnancy, you can just leave, no problem. But as a child,
No, but
What
you're
if-
talking about if, so that means you're only speaking about one type of person. So it does not hold loud say everybody.
no, that's not what you're saying. That's not what you're saying.
Listen, we're not saying it holds people, but it complicates
just complicates
things.
the- yeah.
It makes it more difficult
Yeah.
for you to just walk away. I'm telling you.
For some
Listen-
persons, not everybody.
Yes, some do walk away. I did say
Yeah,
that. Some
yeah,
do, and
for
they don't care
some.
about no child. They don't
Yeah,
care.
yeah,
Right?
people-
Which is what's happening in our society today.
But there are people that would live a relationship and they would start all over and leave everything behind. The only thing they might take, like Tina Turner, is the name. And just leave it.
Yes,
No.
agree.
It's easy like that. Some
Agree.
people just don't want the
Let
drama.
me tell you, you think it's easy, but it took a lot. They did it, you know. But inside, they were dying. They just put themselves first. I'm telling you, it's complicated. You can't run away from that. Even if you see them leave, it's complicated, and they will
Yeah.
tell you.
You might be
you-
surprised. People do it, and then that's why people say Munsap and Pierce chair. Because as human beings, we think everybody will do the same thing that we do or
No.
somebody else is do. Everybody's different. Like just the scenarios are like so different.
Let me just remind our listeners and viewers that you can call us at any time. Let me just give you the numbers. The fixed line is 572-9710, 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. So now let's talk about how we... Oh, okay, we're getting a call already. So let's go to the WhatsApp platform. Hello there. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, one of our regular
Hi.
callers. Morning, Gina.
Good morning, Nikki.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Hi.
I just want to say something on the last comment. Shamak and Nikki having that little misunderstanding. Shamak, Andre, and Nikki. Shamak is right. Everybody's different. Nikki also made a statement that, Shamak said that, like Tina Turner, would just walk away and take the name. Nikki, you said, from what I understood, that you walk away but you feel hurt inside. I just want to use my experience. I walk away with nothing. Nothing. A house that I built in St. Lucia with a man, very young, around 18 years old, didn't have a mortgage, start from scratch. And at the end of the day, bring another woman, and he was with another woman. And we were gonna go to family court. And I remember getting to the court and I'm telling myself, why am I here? Like, I didn't ask a judge if I could have buy a fridge or a door. Why am I have to get answers from a judge to what I can take and what I cannot take? And in that moment, I just excused myself and I said, can I say something? You can have it all. Because to me, the stress, that drama, and I walk away from it and I didn't feel any way about it, Nikki. Like, and even looking back, I think I did the right thing, because those things are just material things. And the mental and emotional stress you have to go through, it really doesn't worth it. So Shamak is right.
So what we're saying, Gina, what we're saying, at least Nikki and myself, what we're saying is that in a situation that what you just described there, it is more complicated because now you end up in court. That's a complication right there. Now, if you don't have all those things there to keep you, you can move away very easily. So what we're saying is that some situations are complicated or more
That's all,
complicated depending
That's
on
all.
how,
Well,
that's what we're
that's all.
saying. That's what we're saying.
Andre,
And
Because-
you
because-
answered that way.
It was complicated, but I made it uncomplicated.
Well, guess
I just
what?
walk away from
Yeah,
it.
but you couldn't
Some
escape the
people-
fact. Hold on, you couldn't escape the fact that you ended up in court. That's what I'm saying.
That's a huge
Because
Yes,
complication.
you know-
Yes, and I was like, okay, you know what? Let me go because I work hard for those things. But at the moment when I thought of it, like, why am I doing this? Why am I going through this stress?
But
So
guess
I did
what?
not make it complicated anymore.
Guess what? You perceived it like that. Some other person would not. They would fight tooth and nail to get what
Oh,
they
yeah.
feel they deserved. More complications on them.
So Nikki,
you
that's
know.
why I'm saying that all of you guys are right. Shamak is right, because what Shamak is saying, I experience it, and what you saying, you may be experiencing. So other people, somebody
Because
else that
it gets
experienced it.
complicated, caller, if you make it complicated. That's what
right.
it is. It gets complicated if you.
No.
They have. How you mean, Andre?
You have
But they
outside-
have situations.
Andre,
But there are consequences.
Andre, when I got
Okay,
fired at
caller.
Valmore,
Thank you,
perfect
caller.
example. When I got fired at Valmore, imagine at that time I didn't even know the meaning of the word. She say your position has been redundant. I say, and then when I go and ask somebody the meaning of the Google it, I said, oh, thank you so much. She was like, huh? I was out of the potato, and look at me today. You make things, some people lose their job and they crying, and Nikki have to say you're giving your friends attitude. You make it complicated if you attract it. As long as you don't attract that, nothing is like nothing. That's when some people say, Pamela, you thinking it's supposed to be
Let
complicated,
me
but
tell
only
you.
if you
Anyway,
attract it.
we're kind of straying away from our topics. So let's get back on track. What
Temptation.
came up there was just part of the discussion,
Yes.
right? Okay, good. Let's talk about that. How do we now elevate ourselves to the point where if we know we do not want to do it, we don't say to ourselves, well, one for the books kind of thing. Okay.
You must learn
you
to
know.
stand your ground. You have to be
By the way,
grounded
folks, you can
within
disturb us. You can disturb us at any time. The fixed line 572-9710, 572-9710, or you can WhatsApp 287-0971. WhatsApp is 287-0971. We have another call. Good morning. Thanks for calling.
Hey, good morning, Andre. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Shema.
sir.
Good
Thanks
morning.
for
How
calling.
are you doing there?
I'm okay, fine, thank you. Thanks for accepting my call.
You're welcome.
Andre, Nikki, Shema, you see this thing of it's too early. It's too early, too soon to have sex, Andre. To me, there's nothing like that. Because, Andre, let me tell you, as a man, if I'm dating somebody and I have given you money directly or indirectly more than once, I expect you to give me something.
Wow.
Yeah.
Respected, but totally
but-
disagree.
I mean,
Yeah, but remember you speaking
Yeah.
earlier about telling the truth. So,
no.
Nikki,
Listen, listen to me. I said respected, right? I respect your opinion. Anyway, continue.
yes, go ahead, caller.
directly, give you money directly, mean I give you cash. And indirectly, I mean if I buy a gift for you or we go out for lunch and thing more than once, Andre, I expect something.
So what
Must
do you?
it be sex?
Hello?
Must it be sex? You said you expect something. What is that something?
Yes.
Ah, your honesty
Yeah.
is very, very,
But the
very
old
well
people
received.
tell you growing up, super
So what is
nom,
Oh yes, my grandmother hammered that in my hand. Yes.
They tell you that.
Yeah,
and some
yes.
women think color they can go out there and eat man money. You understand?
I'm
Pretending that
against
they
that,
like the man.
We need
and
to
then,
have a topic on that, eh? Yes.
Yes,
Because-
I
let
agree,
me-
Nikki.
Because
Next week,
Yeah.
don't worry. Mhm.
because Nikki,
Yes,
let me
sir.
tell you. More than once, I mean twice, or between 2 times and 3 times. I have given you money, I have given you gift. So what I expect you to give me.
Well, you have to tell me what you want, eh?
But Nikki, you know that as a man, that is what we look for then, Nikki.
Yes, pal.
We look for that thing then, Nikki.
I know, dear. I know. No hard feelings.
So,
I'm
caller,
aware.
you create your own
and what is wrong
temptation.
with
Eh?
that? And what is
Yeah.
wrong?
So it's
And what is
listen, eh?
wrong?
That is why I always say we need to be very careful as women, okay, as females. And you see the men who do not take care of their children, they put their daughters, they put them in a very
Let
horrible
me-
situation.
Let me-
Meaning,
So, Nikki, let me ask you.
uh-huh.
So more than once, at least twice, between 2 times and three times, I've given you money, I've given you gift, and then you giving me
Trouble.
something, you giving me that thing. Eh? You what happened? You'll say you are slacker for giving me that?
But head at what is the definition of prostitution?
I don't believe that is prostitution.
Oh, wow.
I don't believe
What's
that.
the difference? What's the difference? What is the definition of prostitution?
So if I date you and I don't give you anything, any money directly or indirectly, so you cannot give me that?
I'll tell you what. A man called one of the radio stations and he said all women are prostitutes.
Oh, let me allow somebody the line here.
Wonderful,
Thank you, caller.
wonderful contribution.
Thank you very
take
much.
care.
According to Mark, he created his own temptation.
Yes, I'm telling you. But head at. He's saying that he doesn't think like like there's sex too soon, right? That's what he said. I can safely tell you, okay? If you want to have sex just early, fine. But for me, I have seen it.
We'll
personally.
get to that before we end.
Yes.
Okay? Let's take another call. Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Andre.
Thank you for calling.
Yes, I would like to be directly opposite to the opinion of the last caller. I think this is the foundation for the decadence that we are seeing in the family structure nowadays, because it appears to me morality is something that is almost out of the vocabulary in St. Lucia. There are a few people that believe in the morality of how things are supposed to be done. If we say we are a Christian nation, then we all know that fornication is wrong. And you know what fornication is? It's sex before marriage. People going into things for the wrong reasons. If you give a lady some money and your sole intention is to get down there, I think this is totally wrong. You should be giving people things out of the goodness of your heart. It's because you like the person, is this, is that. Okay? Nobody is obligated to give you anything back because you give it. That's not the way of God. God says, I will repay you 1,000-fold for the goodness that you do. So I think basically what I've seen, I've noticed in St. Lucia is that we claim to be Christians, but we are very, very, very far from the road of the Christians. So I'm very, very opposite to this last contributor.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the wrong way, and I think this is the result we are seeing now in St. Lucia, why they have so many fatherless children growing up. Why? And then because of all this violence, because we don't have the right upbringing, we don't have the mother-father family system where the children could have a stable, upbringing. It's not that it cannot end up being bad the same way, but at least I think it would be better. I think it would be a lot better if we had those family structures and values more than less in St. Lucia.
Very well
Right.
said,
Okay.
caller. Thank you for calling.
for
Yes.
calling. All right.
I just want to
So, yeah, go ahead, Nikki.
emphasize on what he said. I'm going to be very blunt here. If you, as a man, is expecting for a woman to give you sex because you give her money directly or indirectly, I think you should just go and look for prostitutes. I'm sorry.
I think it's not just money.
That's just my opinion.
If you're going out with that man, it's not just money. You're going out with that man. He showering you with all that money, all that gifts, you're receiving it. And he's only in his mind, he dating you. Of course he will expect sex. Because funny enough about that sex thing, what we have to realize, even as the ministers that Christians, why when I used to go to a so-called Pentecostal church, I seen the young people. You have to be so powerful. You have to go out and try in open places. Every time you want to go on a date, come to my house. The two of you all alone now, they automatically in that level of intimacy you create. Why you cannot go out in an open place where they have a lot of people?
But it's advised that
The
you do
temptation
that.
will come,
You're not
and that's
supposed to
where
do that.
sometimes you cannot even you're not supposed to do. But how many of us are actually practicing? It's easy to say.
No.
That's where you come in with the temptation. But you go in on a date with that person and you're in a private space, and then if a man go through, their little leaves fall in.
You know what they've
And
said?
before man go on a date, not that women, before male go out with a female, they want a good night kiss.
You know what
What fairy
happened?
tale thing that is? So the kiss leading you end up touching her by her waist.
But she doesn't have
She'll
to
want
do
to come
it.
inside. She
She
does not
doesn't
have to do it, but
no.
most times it happens. Sometimes you're not even
Oh.
watching the man just come and he kiss you.
Then
The
that's
kiss
why you
lands so
stop
well.
it.
You yourself in your mind maybe want to kiss the person, but you're trying to control yourself. You sink in the kiss, it happens. That's what happened.
I
Now
understand,
sometimes
you
the
know.
temptation is so thing. So sometimes as a female, as much as you're hungry, sometimes you dating a man, you have to go out if you're vex money, like my mother would say. Walk if you're vex money.
Some of them don't
because
even
some
have
of them ain't
that.
going as far because the girl not giving in. You know what? He not dropping her home. You understand? So sometimes as females, sometimes depends so much and solely on a male that they kind of put themselves in a handicap situation. You have to be an independent woman. You're still going out with that man. And self-control comes for both parties. But I think, I am not a straight man, but I think the men are weaker in terms of controlling themselves. When we're talking about control, because you see that woman
Remember
so
you
sexy.
spoke about perception, eh? Maybe you perceive it like that.
Yes, but sometimes, most times when you look at it, men sometimes can be weaker because every time it's always they that want a good night kiss, and then they figure they spend, because guess what, the man's figure he going out if you're not, the worst thing, his mind is on you at that time. He's not loyal, his mind is just on you at this present time, and he's picking you up at work, doing all of this, doing all of that. Eventually it's like he like you, he will eventually 6 months somewhere down the line, he will expect you to give in a hug. They say, imagine, so they started, just give me a hug. See you tomorrow. Next day they want a kiss.
Andre,
Next day, and it starts like that.
I will send you something
Yeah.
I found.
What's that, Shamak? What's that?
I'll send you something I found. You know what? A lady said she wants to hammer to women that men do not like women. Now, I'll send it to you. It honestly, I have my
men,
qualms
men
about
do,
it.
do not like women.
No, they just
In
want.
terms of what?
No, they just don't like us. They
Wait.
just want what they
Hold
can
that thought.
get.
Hold that thought. Please, let's take another call. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Paul. Good morning, Shamar.
Good
Good morning
morning.
to
Hi,
the
good
young
morning.
lady. I don't
Hello.
remember her
Hi.
name.
Nikki.
Good morning.
Thanks for calling.
Nikki, good
Hi.
morning. I tuned in a little bit late, so I'm playing catch up. But I'll tell you this much: as a young man, if you go out with a young lady, right, and you do everything right, and you do not make the first move at the end of the night, and you play it cool, you know she's afraid of you,
Why?
Mr. Paul. Why?
Why do you
What?
think that?
This guy didn't make a move on me.
Listen.
She started questioning herself, her self-esteem.
They even
That's
go as far
trauma.
as saying the guy may be
That
gay.
is
They do it.
trauma.
Yes.
They do
Yeah,
it.
yeah, you gay or something?
They feel like you playing within the book scholar. They thinking the man gay.
Yes, that does happen.
Yes.
Let me tell
Is that what-
you.
Hold on, Nikki.
Self-discipline. Self-discipline. You wanted it, don't get me wrong.
But you're
But you don't
controlling
want her
yourself.
to make you controlling yourself. You don't want her to make her feel that's all you take her out for.
But caller,
then she
caller,
started
that's
to
what.
question
Sorry,
at the
sorry to disturb you. That's what the program is all about. How do you control yourself? That's what the program is about this morning. So tell us.
Mr. Boy, I can I be a little blunt?
Of course.
But I'll keep it PG. I'll keep it PG. As a young man, you're going out with a young lady, take the first one out yourself.
What?
Take it out. Take it out the first one yourself.
I'm lost.
Masturbate,
we're
Mr.
lost.
Paul.
Oh, that's what you.
Oh.
What he said?
Masturbate.
Oh,
You know, I just did not want to
so
mention
you do that in
to
advance.
you.
Do that in advance. So that happened on your mind.
I never heard that one before.
No, listen, I've
Clean
heard
your
people
ways,
say
what did the old
that.
people say? Call up where do
You understand exactly.
That's a good
Take
one.
it out. Move down your ways. Clean the pipes. Go out. You ever thinking of that? You're enjoying the time. Just and take her somewhere. I don't want to say not as romantic. A hike.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
theme park.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was
Trust
saying
me,
a
if
while
you take
ago,
her to
yeah.
dinner, you drink 2 glasses of red wine, white wine, Moet, the Alizé, that will have you thinking, your hormones go in a different direction. So if you do something like a basketball game, a hiking, go to I wouldn't even see a
Not
show.
a romantic
Because if you're
setting.
drinking out, not really a romantic setting, not a
No.
real nice dinner, especially for the first date. Try something different. Guys, be different. Be different. Don't come normal. Don't come as the same guy she have seen the nice dates already. Trust me, she have seen it. Come different. And then she will start questioning, this guy different. She will start wondering, what's going on here?
But you see,
And
the
he didn't
thing
even
is-
try nothing.
The thing
So,
is,
hold on, Nikki. So, any more suggestions, caller? Any more?
No, that's so.
Okay.
Thank
Okay,
you
let's
so
do
much
another
for
show.
calling.
Okay, next time. Thank you very much.
But,
Have a good one. Bye bye.
know-
That's a call from the diaspora, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, Nikki, yes, you have the last few moments.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll
You
tell
said
you
about
what.
men don't like women or something.
Yes,
like that?
yes. It's like basically the woman was saying that, when you really analyze this whole thing, men just want what they can get from women. And a lot of the times they just want sex. But they don't really like you as a person. Now, I don't totally subscribe to that. I think that there are some genuine men. Okay, you can't run away from that. But in closing, I just want to see, all right, that temptation is not a sin. There's nothing wrong with you being tempted. It's what you do with that temptation.
In fact, I'm saying it's a good thing because it shows you exactly
It is,
who
exactly.
you are and where you are.
Yeah, and I don't believe in suppressing your feelings. You can talk about exactly how you feel. And men, one more thing. I don't think that because you're actually giving a woman money or little gifts and stuff like that, that you have to expect sex. Women, if you're not interested in somebody, all right, don't make it seem like you want the person and you're taking gifts and all of that. I think friendship is very important, platonic friends, but then that, you see what social media portrays out there is so helter-skelter. Like it really puts people in a very difficult situation. But just remember, a lot of this is entertainment. When you get to the real hardcore stuff, you will realize that a lot of what's on social media is just not so. We had a wonderful show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope that we were
Yes,
enlightening enough.
let Shamak, if you don't mind, come in there.
I
Because Shamak,
think-
you gave some good advice.
Yeah, I think
including
for
the
me,
caller, last caller.
What works, I've experienced that. When you meet somebody and you're dating, we need to have sexual education. Talk about sex. just general, because nobody talks about it and it just happened. Talk about it. Because they have sometimes the person might like sucking toes, you might not like it. Talk about it and just so it becomes so normal that you're not even rushing into it. Because you're talking about it because you're all two adults. You're talking about it. So it's nothing new. The brain have a way of working. Every time you meet somebody new, it's like you meet a jackpot. So it's almost like that's what you're going for eventually, you know? And I don't know if that's how human beings are connected. They didn't study in that area. But I think if we talk about something, it becomes so normal. It's almost like for me, there are people when they become friends, they say, Shamak, I didn't know you were such a nice person. But from out there, they were just looking at me as a gay person.
Yeah.
But when they start talking to me, they realize, oh, he's talented, he can do this, he's funny. So eventually, the whole content of his being gay they don't subscribe to that anymore. Because they look at you differently, they get to know you as a human being. So I think if we're talking about everything, the focus when you meet an individual, it will help you in terms of controlling yourself, because the sex topic is on the table. It's not something that you're not talking about it at all. So you can't even control yourself for a simple kiss. Like, come on. Even some people don't get it. They figure you don't want them and they start overthinking in the relationship, and it's not good. And I think a little self-control is good. That topic was interesting because in terms of self-control, especially for both male and female, self-control is good, because if you cannot control yourself, sometimes you might just miss out on certain things.
And let's not forget what Nikki said earlier about becoming elevated spiritually.
I believe so.
That's very, very important.
I really believe so.
Yeah. So you said we should be meditating and this sort of
just
thing.
go inward, you know, like you know, just be with yourself more. Try to, you know, it doesn't have to be the sex all
that it controls you.
No,
you can clear your mind, learn how to clear your mind sometimes.
And see people for human beings, not just as sex objects, you know. I mean, sex is nice, but
because it fades out after a time.
It does, and what you're going to have to fall back on, you know.
Alrighty. Thank you very much, Nikki.
Welcome.
Thank you, Shamak, for another great show as always. So, Nikki, I'm sure we're going to get another hot topic for next week. All right? Okay, so we shall talk. Alrighty. Bye-bye to both of you. Have a nice day. This has been The Love Zone. Heard and viewed on Rev Up St. Lucia every Tuesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So join us next week, Tuesday, same time, 9 o'clock, for another Love Zone. Stand by now for Hard Drive. Those of you on Facebook, etc., we'll just take a little break and get back to you in just a moment.